Hi, Kapil. I'm Ariana. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Ariana. Nice to meet you too. How do you pronounce your name?
Ariana.
Ariana. Okay,
And
cool.
how do you pronounce yours?
Kapil.
Phil? Okay, awesome. So, why did you decide to join this project?
Well, my contract with Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist was up, and I was looking for my next project, and this came up, and was a huge fan of sitcoms. I loved the entire team behind it. I was a huge fan of Melissa, and then I watched the show when I was auditioning for it, and I totally fell in love with it. I hadn't even heard of it, and it was outrageous. And since then, I've watched pretty much, I think, half of the whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of it being a sitcom, Zoe was kind of a musical dramedy, and
Uh,
sitcoms aren't a common kind of comedy that exists anymore in this day and age. How is it like to film a multi-camera sitcom when they aren't really as common as they used to be?
well, I actually grew up watching them, so I was very familiar with them because I grew up watching Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Mike and Molly. Just, I was a big sitcom guy, and that's actually what inspired me to become an actor. I've always wanted to do a multicam sitcom, so I was actually not very happy when they were starting to sort of die off. And then now we have this resurgence come back, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Like I just was like a student learning this because I had never done something like this, and most of the stuff that I had done was single cam. Zoe's was single cam, so coming onto this set, everything was like, just teach me how to do this, and I'll just do my best and correct my mistakes.
What was probably one of your favorite sitcoms growing up?
Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Oh, for sure, for
I
sure.
loved Fresh Prince. Everything about that show was hilarious.
Awesome. And speaking of learning new things, you actually have an original cast member of Night Court on the show. Have you learned things from John or even how to do a reboot without it not being an exact copy but being a continuation of the story?
No, I think he's learned a lot from me. Just kidding. He is like a sage, a legend, sitcom royalty. I think first of all, like I've had many conversations with him about um about the show, especially on the pilot where I was like, am I even like doing a good job here? And he sat me down. He's like, you're doing great. Just, you know, take it easy a little bit, relax, enjoy it. And, don't make the punchline so obvious. I think I remember him telling me that. He's like, don't make the punchline so obvious. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can push the gas on the stuff that's not the more obvious written punchlines, but the stuff that is written, try to find a way to bury it. And I still remember that in my head. And just watching him every day. I mean, I stand 6 feet from him because that's where the court clerk stands, and to see his performance is just like it's like I'm a student watching a master at work.
Awesome. So Abby is a newcomer for the Night Court family, and Neil has been there, and Abby is obviously there to shake things up. How do you think Neil was like before Abby arrived?
Easiest job ever, right? Like old night court judge, things would fly by. Boom, boom, boom. He used to go. He gets to go home. To, does whatever he wants. And because it's such a boring job, he becomes this bit of a prankster because he has to find ways to sort of, keep his mind buzzing. And when Abby comes in, he actually has to like, get his stuff together. And not just that, like his change his attitude about the court. So yeah, I think
Yeah. But what is up with you, Neil and Abby? Like, obviously, it seems kind of like something might be there, but she's engaged, as she makes it very clear in the first episode, to some guy upstate.
he is engaged, and but he has a crush. Uh-oh. So this might be a complete train wreck, or something good might come of it. I guess you'll just have to see.
Yeah, well, it being a sitcom, we could only hope for the best, or it would be just such a tragic season finale. We don't know.
We don't know, but I will guarantee you it is so worth it.
Yes. How would you say that you're similar to Neil, and how are you different?
I'm not really like Neil at all. I think Neil is probably me aspects of me in my early 20s trying to find, what I'm good at, and wanting to find, and before I found a couple of my mentors who really believed in me. And I think he's really trying to like sort of find himself and wants to be included. I was trying to find my group of friends, trying to find my community. Um, and now I'm almost 30, and I feel like I have a really solid group of friends now, and I have a really solid sort of footing on what I want to do with my life. But um, I play Neil like a younger version of myself,
Hmm.
um, and so I have a lot of empathy for Neil, and it's a character that's really close to my heart, and I love playing Neil.
Yeah. Speaking of Neil and just the concept of finding a close group of friends on this show, it's kind of like the core members of the cast, and it's pretty small because there's people rotating in and out of court, and there's a lot of guest stars, of course, because it's a sitcom. How did you guys build that chemistry of having kind of the core members of the cast?
Well, there's an episode that I think really showcases the chemistry of us five. It's called Treat Tuesday. And I think it's one of my favorite episodes in the season because it really shows every single one of us working together to solve a problem. And you know, there's a lot of heart in it. And, there's something revealed that Abby reveals at the end of that episode that is, could be shocking and could be relatable to a lot of people. And I think that's what the old show in the 80s did so well. They include moments of real heart and truth and a little bit of darkness in this sort of backdrop of sitcom comedy.
Yes. Speaking of kind of lighter things, Night Court obviously has like very outrageous cases. What did you think was probably like the craziest case that you heard this season?
Oh my God, there's so many. Let me think. Um, oh, it's also the Treat Tuesday case. It's also the Treat Tuesday case. I don't want to give it up because okay,
I know
so
what you're talking about, and people will just have to watch, but I
the
definitely.
Treat Tuesday case is so good. Also because I play a part in it.
Mhm.
So in I play a part in solving that case. So you'll have to. I love I that I think that is probably my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah,
Actually, I don't know, probably that one, and there's might be a couple episodes towards the end that I think are really great too. Um,
awesome. And another question I had was, what was your favorite scene to shoot? It could be on Treat Tuesday, it could be in another episode that you kind of felt like, yes, I have this footing with this character.
I think my favorite scene was in the pilot with Melissa, and we talk about the scene a lot because I think Melissa really loves that scene too because you know we've been doing this for almost, I mean, coming on June, it would have been 2 years since we shot that pilot,
Oh, wow.
and we've been through a lot together to sort of come to this moment. And we were sort of, Melissa and I were like, eating together in one of the lunches, and we were like sitting and reminiscing about the scene between her and I in the cafeteria. Um, that it was such a sweet scene, and it's such a charming scene, and I think it's yeah, it was also a very near and dear scene to me because it was the scene that that made me realize that I could do this in multicam because I had a lot of support from everyone, and everyone really seemed to love it. So that scene in the cafeteria in the pilot is really near and dear to my heart.
Yes. If you weren't playing Neil, though, which character would you want to play, even if it was like a random, like Freaky Friday episode?
Well, I think I would love to play a Dan Fielding type character in 40 years. Um, and in 40 years, I would love to play that character but I can only do it when I'm, 70 years old. Like it wouldn't fly with me at 29. But I think that roaster, like I have sort of this roasty sense of humor with my friends where we're all kind of like messing with each other. and that's the vibe that I get from that character. Where he's just flawlessly just makes fun of other people in such a charming, charismatic way. And I was like, you know what? I would love to be Dan. I mean, obviously, I can't do it right now, nor do I think I have the chops to do it right now. But in 40 years, I hope I can.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I talk to you before 40 years. I would love to talk about future projects, but I do also hope that comes true. But congrats on this show and looking forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thanks so
much.
much. All
Awesome.
right.